We just to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
More, take a motion to approve the agenda and the minutes.
I'll make that a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll say it.
Been moved in second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Votes in favor.
Recording in progress.
Ooh, Rich.
Morning.
One with clicking, right? And it comes up with something. Hey, it wouldn't come up.
Good.
We are.
Okay.
Good.
Rich.
Morning. A few weeks ago, our excavator trailer we lost some bushings and stuff, and the axles were kind of going bad. We did buy a new trailer and it just came in. We went around and looked around for used ones. We've been looking for a long time, and we did find a brand new one we got out of North Carolina, Kaufman trailer. It'll suit our needs, brand new. So for the money we spend on new compared to other ones, I think we spent $68,000 on this one, a new Trail King or a load king, so it'll be damn near $100,000. Double there. So we think this will fit our needs. We got it delivered, just so you guys know. Our projects, Wheelerwood North has been painted and shouldered. And we overran on the rock on the shoulders, but that's to be expected. Hard to know where that drop off is, and you start adding asphalt to the ends again to get the crown back, and end up maybe going a little higher on the edges. So, but still not a lot of money on that. We're trying to put, I think I told you that a couple weeks ago, we're trying to put plans together for Thrush more. 5. So I've got to get that kind of out next week for preliminary plans and concept statement. And then we got our pipe in for 105 there at Vine, so we're gonna try to probably shut that down next week. Hopefully we can get it done in a day, and then we'll let traffic pound the rock in a little bit, and then later this year we'll patch it with concrete. So and then we just had a little bit of minor flooding here over by the Hamlin Town Joyce area from the 6+ inches of rain. Nothing major. The guys are out hauling the rock and straighten it back up. And then since we've got some moisture now, we're trying to get blades out in the gravels, get things straightened up again. So that's what we've got going on right now.
Couple of those landowners down there, if you want to discuss with maybe cleaning those ditches out.
All right.
Just whether they'll come in or not, I don't know if it'd help or not, but you get 8 inches of rain in
Yeah.
a short time.
You could have
Could have been worse, I guess, when I went down.
yeah, I think so. Like you and I talked, I think the crops being in really made a big difference with flooding too.
Slowed it down.
Slowed it down a lot.
It helped.
Actually, probably that's something a little bit too.
Yeah, so, okay, I know those right in that one area, at least one of those is plumb full, and it's been that way for years.
Yeah, probably where it mostly comes out of the field and it just sits in over time, and there's
Yeah.
nowhere for it to go.
So, something to think about if you have time.
Yep.
So. Okay, anything else, Rich?
Nope.
Okay, drainage. Did you look at those?
Yes. Yeah.
Take a motion to approve the drainage.
I'll make a motion to approve the drainage.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
So moved in second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. No place to sign. No. Yeah,
It's fine.
I'll have a reprint it.
Okay. Unless you can find it, maybe I'm looking right at it, don't see it. Okay. Claims, you get a chance to look at those.
Yes.
Any questions on claims? Hearing none, take a motion.
Motion to approve the claim.
Oh, wait, I have an addition. I thought I had paid our ICAP insurance a while ago, but apparently I didn't. So I ran that through. It's 150,705. So that'll be
on top of it.
Yeah.
So you want,
Move to approve the claims with the addition of ICAP.
okay, so it's
Second that.
been moved to second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, motion carried. Do we have a need to sign claims?
Oh, yeah. No,
Okay, is there any reports?
Sure.
Sheriff's reports. 7784. Take a motion to approve the sheriff's or the reports.
Motion to approve reports.
Is there a second. Moved in second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All same sign, motion carries. Okay. Any payroll? Any liquor?
Nope.
Fireworks?
no.
Melissa, are you on?
Morning.
Good morning.
I just thank you for your time on Friday to get that thing passed for Winnebago County. Other than that, I'm working on the HBI package, and when everything is ready to go, I'll come back to the board and we can go through all the steps before I submit.
Perfect. Sounds good.
We heard anything on the next OPN meeting?
No, not yet.
Let us know when you do so we can get it posted.
You bet.
Thank you.
You bet.
All right, Heidi's on at 9, so I guess we go to department heads. Anybody got anything?
Update on the phone system, we're still waiting for that 911 integration to happen. The guy from Central Square was not available here last couple of weeks, so this week they're supposed to, him and one of their telephone are supposed to get together, but you can see these test phones are out here, so people can take them and play with them if they want to.
Yeah.
Taking recommendations, so hopefully by after next week, we can start maybe setting a date to pull the trigger.
Sounds good.
Thursday, we got a meeting with Vercotic and a kickoff on the door locks and the cameras and everything. So we'll know a little bit more when you're gonna see people coming in on that.
For that project, it'll be wiring first, so SCI will be up here doing all the wiring and then they'll put all the stuff. But we got a ton of equipment already.
And we have to do a budget amendment. Because I kind of forgot that that's not in the budget, so.
All the
Right,
ARP.
yeah,
Yeah, I suppose.
So I'm gonna have to look that up.
Okay.
Next couple weeks.
perfect.
But we have the first half and, well, that was last year though. Do we have to do anything with
No,
like?
Well, I gotta put it back, I gotta put that back in the budget too.
right,
I don't, I'm sure it'll be this budget year that the water tower stuff, or the water main gets done, but Jason's kind of holding off to see if pipe prices come down a little bit and see what happens, because it's, we're just not, as gonna get as much as what we thought we were gonna get, so.
Well, is it gonna cost as much just to do the water versus water and sewer?
Well, sewer wouldn't be,
Hmm.
it wouldn't go the same place.
Yeah,
It would be better to go a different direction with the sewer, so.
but what was that part of the first
What-
estimate or no?
No, the
Oh,
first
okay,
estimate
that
was,
just water.
what he was figuring was close to what the pipe was getting put in for. Now that's just the cost of material.
Mm,
That's how bad PVC is went out. So it's,
super line.
yeah, it's expensive. So he's kind of trying to just hold off a little bit and maybe get bid this winter, late fall or winter, for next year, but I'm just trying to see if price will come out. He goes, I don't think they can get any higher. They have to come down. And I know the people I buy pipe from, they're kind of nervous because they've seen it before where all of a sudden it flips the other way and they're sitting on a bunch of inventory, of high price inventory. Now they gotta, how do they get rid of it? They gotta lower their price and it's cutting into their profits. So hopefully that'll come around a little better. So, but yeah, I'm sure that'll be next year yet. So it has to be, I think. We have to spend that first batch next year, don't we?
well, it just all has to be spent by.
Certain days.
26.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
so.
26.
Yeah.
All right, anything else from department heads? No, it was Supervisor Weekly, I guess.
Just the Winworth Betco Executive Board on the home base deal.
I didn't have anything last week. Wait, I'm sorry, yes, I did. We had a EMS meeting again Tuesday night. Pretty much just discussion on the amount for the levy. And location kind of a little bit, and then who's gonna do it. That's something that can always be ironed out a little bit. Our goal is to get that number on the levy. Or the levy on the ballot. So we have one more meeting the 15th. And then I will bring it to the board the 22nd. And then we have to have it in right by the end of the month, right, Jackie, for the to get it on the ballot. So is that something that has to come through the board as a vote to put it on the ballot, or it probably would, wouldn't it? Okay, that's what I thought.
With the
Yeah,
wording that
I think
want
you
on the
guys make the
ballot.
recommendations and then we accept it or
Yeah.
deny it, I guess, right?
So we'll have our should be our last meeting on the 15th, I think, and then we'll bring it to the board the 22nd. So that's all I had.
Yeah, I met with the sheriff and the DOT at the sheriff annex, I guess, is where we ended up finally meeting, and it was really out of our hands, but it has to do with paving project that we going through here and redoing the sidewalks uptown. They wanted to, they're worried about having enough room to get proper slope for handicap accessibility and stuff, and so well, it's basically up to you and between you and the city, so hopefully they'll get that figured out.
Honest location next time.
Well, that's okay. No, and
Is it
I
just
probably
like
drove right
sheriff's
by them. They were
office
probably
and-
standing there. That's what I figured, sheriff's office. It's like, oh, this is right here, but it was
So
only a
as
few minutes.
that's where I was kind of confused because that's
Yeah.
further back. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Well, that's kind of what I thought. I couldn't see why this would be a problem out here, but unless they're trying to make wider turns and cut in the property, but anyway. so we
Building
did-
an overpass.
Well, we could do that too, I suppose, yeah.
Is it just the corner on 65?
No, it was like, well, they're redoing there. They got a lot of issues uptown there with the
Well, I knew
historical building,
uptown, but
the historical buildings.
it's
and
along
stuff.
65, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's just this one up here and then back here.
yeah,
Yeah, go to the corner and then turn.
Yeah.
turn and go that way. So, yeah, so.
The road needs some attention.
Anyway, I had that and Winworth Petco too, and then Friday, I actually got invited and met with the governor and James Bloomingdale up here at the Bean and Bistro. It was kind of, to me, it was more of a recognition for Jennifer for what she's been doing with Algebra Agency, you know, the meals for the low income, and it was the 21 restaurants in North Iowa, and the governor was kind of visiting some of those, and had a chance to visit with the governor for a little bit, and so it's kind of nice. So, that's all I had. Okay. Well, I guess we will recess until 9 o'clock.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
For everyone. Well, today, we talked back, around February, March timeframe, that, the debt that you currently have outstanding, is going to be, with the tip you have collected is really with this fiscal year 2023 that we're in right now, that's really kind of the last year you can collect it in tip based off of the debt you have outstanding. And if you remember, with tip, you can only collect tip when you have certified debt. And there's a list of projects that the board is working on and wants to get moving forward with. So today, I wanted to just talk a little bit about your tip cash flow and what you have ability wise, and then talk about what steps the board will have to take in order to go into debt by December 1st of this year to certify debt for fiscal 2024
Okay,
coming up. Does that make
yes.
everyone following there?
Yep. Ain't too far out, is it?
Well,
I've got a packet here. I hope you brought your glasses.
I did.
But right here, what I have is a tip cash flow, what you currently have outstanding. With the two current towers. The next set of towers of 76 that he's working on right now to put that in the urban renewal plan. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then current debt, and then I have pages behind here. 3 different scenarios, current, 6 million, 8 million, and $10 million worth of debt. You don't have to issue any of those dollar amounts. Just showing you what that cash flow looks like. So the board can, see how those numbers work. I'm gonna start actually on the page 2, which is the $6 million scenario. Starting from left to right, I have that percentage for the tip collections for wind turbines. Those started at 0%, go up by 5% each year until they hit at 30% for a maximum of 20 years. You see that the 2 original wind farms will be falling off for TIF collection in fiscal years 2030 and 2032. So the large amount of TIF revenues that are be coming in are really coming up here in this fiscal year 24 to fiscal 32. If you look at that estimated revenue, there's a green portion that's actuals, but you'll see up until about 2030, 2030, you could collect up to about 3.8 million, adding in this new wind farm. These numbers that I have here took out 6 turbines, just for conservative factors. I know that the board had also wanted to review possibly not tipping the entire next wind farm to generate some revenue for your general supplemental rural services.
Yep.
So these numbers do already have
Got it.
six turbines removed there. If the board needs a little more or a little less revenue, we can adjust here as I have some conservative numbers in front of me. To the right of that, I have the current outstanding debt. You'll see that your 2015, it'll be paid, will be paid off here very shortly. And then I have estimated debt payments for a $6 million issue. Right to the right of that blue piece right there. The reason that is blue is that's the 2012 bond issue that you paid off early last year.
Okay.
After that black line, I have your total estimated general obligation debt payments. The remaining TIF that's available. So if you see, even with a $6 million debt issuance, this remaining TIF cash flow is still very abundant. I know that it's possible that there's the guarantee on the pipeline, and then I think a 6 million would probably get you through some of your roads and maybe started on some of the jail, but possibly, I was being over positive, but you'll see that you still would have about 38 million available after that point. After that, I've added 2 columns to help explain. So here's where your balances would be after your payments. And then the estimated debt outstanding. So within 4 years after this debt issuance, you'd be kind of in this, if you didn't do anything else again, you would be kind of in the same position you're in today, is that you collected enough to pay off all of your debt for the 6 million. Really for the 8 and the 10, I've kept them all of those options to be paid off by 2032 when the bulk of that TIF revenue kind of before that bulk of that revenue falls off, to allow for a little bit more level debt service if you need to do a larger bond issuance for either either the jail, courthouse, or for the guarantee, should that happen. I guess the kind of the moral of the story is that you have the cash flow to start on some of these urban renewal projects to pay it off, you know, rather quickly, some large dollar amounts. We can reduce, you know, by that six turbines. The thing is about that is, one, that 5% isn't planning to be coming in until not 24, but 25. So, you know, the relief wouldn't be quite immediate if you're just looking at removing that 6. However, you know, if we wanted to take a look at removing, you know, 6 from the other, we could, you know, you could probably start that early and maybe look at some of the existing turbines and kind of get that going right away.
So basically let them go back, right, to get into the funds with the schools, the general funds, all that, and then not worry about the 6 of the newest one. That'd probably be maybe we'd see the quickest response in our budget in our general and all that, I guess, sooner, right?
Sooner rather than, yes.
Than 25.
And then here's just an estimate. And this is based off of the new turbine value. So, you know, the numbers might be a little bit high. And then I took it based off of your general supplemental and rural services. You know, if you're in you're at that 30%. Additional county revenue about 46,000 if you kept the tax rate the same.
That's the 6.
And that's the 6 of the new value.
Yep,
So
out
those,
here.
you know, out here on new, if you needed some revenue now, these numbers might shift a little bit because the value for the turbines were less in the.
Did I give you the exact value of the turbine?
Yes, and I know that in those can shift, they are subject to change up
Which they could
until next year, and maybe even the year after. They're always a little bit in flux until you really start getting the revenue in. But they should stay fairly close.
Yeah.
So if you want to take a look at doing, you know, 6 turbines to get about 46,000, that's across general supplemental services. To help boost some of that operating dollars. Obviously we can go up or down, depending on, you know, any guidance that I receive from these two.
In your email, you said that you put all the new turbines in the urban renewal plan, and then we do a resolution on the ones we wanted to take out.
Not specific ones, it would just be.
That would be
Or like a
yeah,
percentage.
you said a
You
percentage.
could do a percentage.
But if you look at the map, there's 6 of them right now that are inside that 2-mile radius.
Mhm.
So. Okay,
You know, so you can do a percentage of the total if it makes the most sense, you know, either politically or just from to keep things straight, to just take a few of those you can put them in the plan and then not collect. I want to give you guys the flexibility down the road to say, hey, you know, we've got to make these payments on all of these different projects coming up.
Yeah.
You know, we may need to pull them back in. And that's, you know, if it makes the most sense to keep them out just from a, you know, just from a political standpoint or from any, you know, going forward, that's fine. It's, you know, but I would recommend to give you the flexibility to use it anytime in the next 20 years, put them in now.
And then take a percentage or whatever we want out.
Judy, I would think we'd have to know which ones are gonna be those 6, right? Because we have different parcel numbers, so we would want to, for our side. Know
Yes,
which,
which
six, not
six.
just a percentage, yeah.
Well, it
They're
seems,
all on the urban renewal plan, it doesn't matter.
I know, we'd have to check, we've never run into this, before, so, yeah, so we'd have to check on our side.
we'd know exactly which ones were in and which ones weren't.
Yeah, that's just, what I'm thinking that'd be more clear.
Yeah.
I think from a, more of an accounting and keeping
Mhm.
things straight.
And it gives the
Maybe.
boards down the road flexibility to, if it's there, it would be available then to them.
Mhm. Now you'd have some impact of shifting, you know, value from general going back to TIF. But it's an option, you know, and that's really what I want to set the board up with is options down the road.
That's what we want. Take a look at that.
And when I talked to you a couple of months ago, you said, don't get carried away with putting it in the general budget, because you know, it could really cause problems down the road.
Well, put in X amount of dollars and then all of a sudden you said you gotta pull it off debt service, and
Yeah.
now you gotta make that up in the budget somewhere, so it's gotta be.
You always got the legislative.
Mhm. Well, and there's, you know, the balance too, is that you want to make sure that you're maintaining your fund balances. You're not drawing down on, you know, you're keeping that 25% carryover year over year. So I think it does make sense to pull a few to help you get, and maintain a 25% carryover, because you have to have that cash in the bank for, to make your payments. Also, for the bond rating, that's a big question is, you know, where your fund balances are too. So I think it's a good idea to have some go back to kind of give you a little bit of that cushion, because things have been tight for the budgets for a while now.
A long time. So,
Quite a long time.
No comment.
I've only been here 4 years.
Now this is the other thing I wanted to do, just to kind of give the board an idea of how things would need to move, as a sheet that looks like this. This is by no means a recommendation, but how things would need to move in order to get a debt in place by December 1 this year.
Sure.
Now, one, you have to have that urban renewal amendment completed. So at that, I know that you've started some work on the urban renewal area and putting those projects in the plan. That set of hearings takes a full month. So I have estimated if we could get that set date of that hearing coming here in August in a couple weeks, with a full month in between. There may be some consultations with those 6 turbines that are within the 2 miles. That gives that full month in order to get your hearings in there, have those consultations. Set a date on that date for the financing piece. And then holding that on October 10th. After that, we have, in between about that time, we'd have about a rating call for the rating of the bonds that, you know, I would definitely help and assist with, helping you get through that process. Locking in your interest rates. Last resolution at the end of October. Last resolution called the issuance resolution is that's just kind of a finalization of signing on the dotted line. And then closing about 2 weeks later gets you to November 22nd. So lots of steps in order to get you all the way through. We can condense this a little bit, but this is kind of the typical time frame that it takes to get it done. So right now is the time to be getting the projects in that plan. And while, I think you've been working on some roads and bridges, getting the pipeline in there, getting possibly the courthouse and jail in there as well. Getting that in the plan. While you're getting that in the plan, having that consultation, having that hearing, then we can kind of just discuss and define how much you want to borrow this year. And then get you all the way through to closing on a bond by December 1 of this year.
Still need to figure out how to certify the $1.3 million that needs to go back to the height of 125 to, or 105. Yeah.
And that may be maybe taxable, but we can get that going with John. Has that been put in, that was put in the urban renewal plan?
Yes, we did that.
And we
Does that
can,
need to be put back in, or is that something you guys want to do?
Well, that was a plan.
It was the plan, because sooner or later that's coming.
Right.
Otherwise, it's one of those things where might not get it back, might not have that
Well,
fund,
Don't want to be like a lot of other funds that just disappear. And
no, I just didn't know if, if that's coming up, you tip that instead of paying fees to put it back in to the 105 trust fund. I mean, either way, you're probably gonna have fees. but- And what
Well, the
you're
money
putting in
on-
there,
The money will be there.
I mean, you put,
It's just paying it back
Just
because
putting it
we
back.
borrowed it from different.
And that's the way we set it up. So. we
which is
should-
fine, I just
Yeah.
was. 1.3 million, when you start thinking about how many miles are out there. It's beneficial, but it doesn't cover a lot.
No,
No,
but it's
we never did that.
good to have it there.
Right.
It's just, it's a
Supplemental,
Yeah. And like, yeah, once it's gone, it's gone.
Goes up on it. Yeah. It's good to have it.
have it there, and
Yeah,
that may be something that actually goes into the bond issue too.
So what are the fees like?
So the fees, one, you'll have a fee that's associated with the urban renewal plan amendment, so those legal fees. Then the financing, there's legal fees again. There's a fee for the rating that will pay for itself in the interest rate. And then, with this size, if you're looking at, probably more than 2 to 3 billion in bond issue, we'd be going out to a public sale, so there would be a underwriter fee that is associated with getting the bonds into the market that pays for that. That fee is typically no higher than 2%, but it'd probably be about 1.3, 1.4%. And then a couple other small administrative fees, that would be all lumped into that financing.
Who's in there.
oh, okay, yeah, they're looking at stuff like that, okay.
Man,
It's not gonna blow up.
they're gonna bail.
Well, I kind of thinking about it.
I was like, when do we get a furnace?
Sounded just like it.
Back to those 6 you've got on this sheet,
Yep.
46,000 for 6 turbines, that
They said it didn't amount to much.
It doesn't amount to much, no. The reason so you'll see that 945, that's the tax rate for the rule currently. The TIF uses a consolidated tax rate for
Right.
everything, that's about a $20. So then, you know, when you shift things back, they go to the other taxing bodies as well, and so that rate, the return on it is less, so that's why the TIF is so lucrative to finance projects, is because you can take that full tax rate.
It'll be more if you share, charge more.
That 46 is all we would see. Is that our portion or is that the entire?
No,
That's just our
That's
portion.
just your
Okay.
portion.
The rest goes to the schools. and
So I have
Whatever
420,
else.
yeah, which you have 425 for general, 185 for general supplemental, and the two, two, 294.
But after 4 or 5 years, you could get that cushion built up. That we're looking,
as long as you
that
don't
we just
spend it,
don't have.
as long as you don't spend it.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's the key there.
Like other things have been done.
Yeah.
So.
So really, next steps would be is really,
Get our.
next thing
renewal
is
bill
I get,
down.
you know, having a call with John and getting things, you know, what does he need? Keep moving things forward.
Well, he's got a lot of the information so
Does he
far,
have-
doesn't he?
We should have most of it.
Should
He's got the,
About time for another call.
Yeah, you should have most of it. So to see. For sure what exactly else they need, but
It's really everything that they'll need to get the new turbines in, and then also the other part is the projects as well.
Well, and the other thing is, how does that guarantee work? Cause you just have to have $10 million just hanging there just in case, or.
You just have to, well, and is it gonna be legal too? I think, I don't know if that question's been answered yet or not.
With, you know, legality,
I know
I'll
that's-
leave that,
yeah.
I'll leave that.
No,
up-
that's-
I'll
I mean,
leave
that's
that up to-
why-
I'll leave that up to
I haven't
John,
quite
but
decided to ask you.
what I've kind of assumed here is that if you need to take over a payment or bond and pay off that old debt, assuming that it's legal, you can do that with this cash flow. It will maybe limit
Anything else?
you know, depending on it, you know, if you have to do the full
Well,
10 mil,
that's the
if you have to do the
thing.
full 10 mil, it's gonna limit when you can do the courthouse and the jail,
If something happened,
you know, right away.
Right.
It, you know, it's gonna limit that, but you do have a very lucrative TIF
we do.
cash flow
Yeah,
to be able to make it all work.
yes,
Um,
and every year that they make their payment, we'd be able to spend it then. We just gotta make sure it's there to, if they don't make the payment. And then they make the payment, that would roll right back. Each year it'd come back in and we'd spend it for roads and bridges or whatever.
mhm.
We just gotta make sure we don't leave ourselves.
you're
With an
talking,
empty
yeah,
handle.
you're talking on the guarantee.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, the only difference would be is they're 5 million into it, and the company doesn't work, and we gotta buy $5 million worth of pipeline. We'd end up with a pipeline, we don't pay the debt off, but
Kind of like Xenia, but bigger.
yes, exactly.
And that's what a guarantee
That'd be
is. You're basically guaranteeing the land.
Yeah, we're signing on those. agreements.
Yeah.
So,
You know, I'll leave it, you know, up to the legal, but.
Yeah,
You
no.
maybe what I possibly suggest in the numbers is. You know, taking over the payments, but maybe if you could bond for it. To pay them off and then have it, then you can structure it in different, you know, in a different way. And that's kind of a question for John, is if you could. Then
Spread it out over more years. if you
spread
bond
it
for
out over more years if we need to.
Hopefully we don't have to talk about that.
Hopefully you
No,
don't have to,
it's always
but
good.
if you could put that in terms as, you know, you could pay it off.
But you wouldn't wanna be spending the money for those payments until you know your. total.
That's right.
Exactly, exactly.
'Cause we're-
Until they make their payment, that money's not
No, but I
available to
mean,
you.
at all.
That's what I
We
mean,
gotta
yeah.
borrow
It's-
that
it's-
money regardless.
And so right now, what you'd be doing with anywhere, that $6 million scenario I showed you is you're collecting the current TIF.
Right.
And you're collecting above and beyond what your payments are due. So what you're doing is you're setting yourself up that you need to start making some payments.
Then I'd have justification to have a fund balance.
You have kind of a justification for a fund balance. Yes, exactly. So that fund balance can continue to make your current debt obligations, and you may start drawing down on that fund balance to make those new payments. So that it could work, but it's really going to be, if they default and then that timing, this sets you up. That one, if nothing happens, you're paid off within 4 or 5 years. If something happens, we're moving forward on the courthouse, we have to make payments. You have the flexibility here. And that's,
So courthouse is basically in limbo until we know how the gas line's gonna work out.
So, yeah.
I would say yes.
If that's what you choose. to
if
go
that's,
with
yeah,
first.
if you're choosing to do roads
Yeah.
first or courthouse first, or.
I don't think we have a choice on the roads.
Well, we
Once
do,
you
we
start-
could do like a lot
start
of
tearing
counties,
them
just let
up.
them go. I mean, you
You
know,
know.
I mean, it's not, drive around the state.
They drag them out.
We're pretty fortunate here in Worth County for what we've done.
Yeah.
And
There's some, I was on them Saturday
I was
night.
gonna say, yeah, you don't have to get very far from home.
No.
That was the rain last night. I noticed there's still puddles.
Well,
This morning,
Well,
did it come in
if you're
for you?
driving up, there was an area south of there
Saturday.
that got up to 8 inches, so, yeah, we had nice rains,
I saw flash floods.
floods
Floods
and,
and
yeah.
everything end up okay then?
It
or-
did, yeah, a little slight road damage and nothing too major, so better than in the springtime. So, okay. Well,
I really didn't, yeah, next is give a call with John. I also put an engagement letter. It's just our traditional engagement letter that's, I'd have you put on the next board meeting too.
okay,
That really would give us, just the able to proceed and.
Yeah.
Get that plan for you.
Okay.
That's all.
well, we're gonna make some decisions or just let Jeff expire. You know,
What was that?
Let TIF expires.
just let TIF expire, otherwise it's just let it expire and go back. You know, but doesn't make sense when we have the ability to utilize it. Especially for some projects that need to be done, so.
You'd still get your projects done. It would just take you a longer amount of time to get them done, because you're not no longer gonna grab the. If you're not grabbing TIF, you're just gonna take in what you get every year and then just. Take a percentage of that paid out in projects and bridges and roads and whatever else. It's gonna take you 20 years, 25 years versus no.
This may be a legal question again, you don't want to answer, but any changes at the legislation with TIF. I did it, like I said, dinner with the governor on Friday, there was a little bit of discussion and stuff, but you know. I know what you probably hear more than we do, so.
Right now, there's nothing right now, they're not, but every year it does seem to come up.
Well, they're really pushing the sunset. I know some legislators are, they're, you know, it's a great tool for us rural counties like us, and some of the bigger cities don't like it. And they have a little more power in legislation than we do, so, you know, are they gonna yank the rug out from us? It's always a fear.
And that, that came out, that it did,
Been
last
tough,
year, that, they talked about, changing it last year. That just kind of became a little bit dead in the water.
Yep.
It can come up again. I think some of the same concerns that, there are established bond payments on things that are currently set up. Traditionally, in the past, if it's ever had to go to, the courts, they have all, in the past, leaned in the way of the bondholders and what's currently set up now. And sometimes things will happen on future things. That's typically how things go.
Right.
Now, I can't tell.
No,
Things can happen fast, but that's, TIP comes up every year. It does. And we can't predict it all, but a lot of times the same questions get answered, and you'd hope that common sense of what's actually in place would be protected.
Well, what it's doing for the economies of smaller communities.
Yeah,
and
well,
Smaller counties.
Years ago, there's ethanol plants and things like that, but for rural counties, economic development right now, really what's going on, the wind farms, that's it. What's going on for economic development. There's a few things here and there but so it's, it just seemed a little bit like an attack on rural Iowa. What we have.
Well, that's kind of what it is. Right? That's your typical political views at the state, so, and the federal.
But, as soon as things come up and I hear things, reach out, and really it's that time is, the boards to talk to your legislator and say, hey, this is no good because we've got these things going and we need to keep moving on these things, so.
Okay. Well,
Guess we have our marching orders.
I was gonna say, yeah.
What are rates doing? Rates,
That's-
the first 6 months of the year rates went up very quickly. If you followed it, kind of anything with mortgage rates, things like that. A 10-year note right now in the bond market, you're probably looking at a 3.25, which is average.
Yeah.
Average interest, average interest rate. And so it's just not some of the rock bottom things that we were seeing in the last couple of years, but they're still at, their average interest rates.
They're livable.
Yes. I think just with and they've kind of settled in, even with the Fed meeting and hiking, the 75 basis points with 0.75%. At that, really the markets have adjusted. We didn't see too much shakeup after that.
Right.
Actually, we saw rates go down just a little bit after that, 'cause the market had already adjusted that, knew it was coming in. They seem to be a little bit more settled and stable than they have been through May, but things like wars in Ukraine and things like
Yeah.
that can
Change
just
everything.
change everything in it, in an instant, but
All right. Well, thanks, Heidi.
Thank you, Heidi.
Appreciate
Thank you.
anything else?
the information again.
Look this over.
Well, yeah, I guess we need to be by next week.
Yeah,
Talk with
That's
the
the one we
Daniels
gotta pay
next
attention.
week during our meeting if they got time to Zoom with us or whatever.
Should we get that lined up? Okay. Then we're at, depends on next week's agenda. Nothing else, I got a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Moving second, for discussion, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Both same sign, motion carries. Thank you.